In the ancient kingdom of Ndalu, where red earth stretched beyond the horizon and baobab trees stood like silent guardians, a young woman named Zuri lived alone beside the ruins of a forgotten shrine. Every night, she dreamed of a burning crown floating above a sea of ash. The dream always ended the same way. A voice whispered her name from inside the flames. When she woke, she would find gray ash scattered across her floor despite having no fire in her hut. The villagers feared her and called her cursed, yet none could explain why strange things happened whenever she was near. One morning Zuri discovered fresh footprints in the ash outside her home. The prints appeared overnight and circled her hut 3 times before disappearing into the forest. She followed them despite the fear growing inside her chest. The trail led to a clearing where a massive stone throne stood hidden beneath vines and roots. No one in Ndalu knew the throne existed. Carved across its surface were symbols glowing with faint red light. As she touched the stone, a violent vision exploded inside her mind. She saw an army kneeling before her while an entire city burned beneath a sky of black smoke. The vision vanished as suddenly as it came. Zuri stumbled backward and noticed something impossible. The vines around the throne had turned to ash. They crumbled apart without any flame touching them. A deep rumble shook the ground. From beneath the throne rose a hidden chamber sealed for centuries. Inside rested a black crown covered in strange crystals that shimmered like dying embers. Every instinct told her to run, but another force pulled her closer. The crown seemed alive. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat waiting for her arrival. As her fingers brushed the crown, a voice echoed through the chamber. It did not come from outside. It came from inside her own mind. The voice called her the Queen of Ashes. Zuri froze. She had never heard those words before, yet they felt familiar. The chamber walls suddenly revealed paintings hidden beneath centuries of dust. Every image showed the same woman wearing the black crown. The face in the paintings was identical to hers. Her breath caught in her throat as she stared at a destiny she could not understand. Terrified, Zuri fled back to the village, carrying the crown wrapped in cloth. She told no one what she had found. That night screams erupted outside. Villagers rushed from their homes as a fire consumed the marketplace. Yet something was wrong. The flames burned without heat. They reduced wood, stone, and metal into ash while leaving people untouched. The entire market vanished before sunrise. When the villagers searched for answers, they found Zuri standing nearby with gray ash coating her hands. Fear spread through Ndalu faster than wildfire. Elders accused Zuri of summoning dark magic. Mothers pulled their children away whenever she passed. Even friends who once smiled at her now avoided her gaze. Zuri wanted to throw the crown into a river and forget everything. But each time she tried, the crown mysteriously returned beside her bed. Meanwhile, whispers haunted her sleep. They spoke of a hidden kingdom buried beneath the desert and a betrayal that had doomed thousands long ago. 3 nights later, a stranger arrived at the village gates. His face was hidden beneath a hood stained with desert sand. Without greeting anyone, he walked directly to Zuri and handed her an ancient scroll. Then he disappeared before anyone could stop him. The scroll contained only one sentence: "The Queen of Ashes must never reach the Eternal Mountain." Beneath the warning was a symbol matching the mark engraved inside the crown. Zuri felt a chill run through her body. Someone knew who she was. Determined to uncover the truth, Zuri left Ndalu before dawn. She crossed vast grasslands where golden sunlight hid countless dangers. Along her journey, she discovered abandoned villages reduced entirely to ash. No bodies remained. No signs of battle existed. Only silence lingered in the empty streets. The destruction matched the strange fire from Ndalu. Somewhere ahead, someone was using the same power connected to her crown. The realization filled her with dread. Perhaps she was not the only queen of ashes. As night fell, Zuri camped beneath a giant baobab tree. While she slept, she heard children laughing in the darkness. She opened her eyes and saw ghostly figures dancing around a circle of ash. Their faces were blurred and impossible to recognize. One by one they pointed toward the horizon. There, far away, stood a mountain glowing red beneath the moonlight. Before vanishing, the spirits whispered a single word. "Remember." Zuri awoke trembling, unsure whether the encounter had been a dream. The next morning Zuri reached the edge of a great dust desert. Ancient ruins stretched across the sands like broken bones. In the center stood a colossal statue of a queen holding a burning crown. Time had eroded much of its face, but enough remained to reveal a terrifying truth. The statue looked exactly like her. Suddenly the desert winds roared to life. Beneath the sand, thousands of glowing eyes opened at once. Something ancient had awakened, and it knew she had arrived. The glowing eyes beneath the sand moved like waves across the desert floor. Zuri barely had time to react before giant creatures burst upward. Their bodies formed from black ash and ancient bones. Their empty eye sockets burned with red fire. Instinctively, she raised her hand to shield herself. The black crown hidden in her bag suddenly erupted with crimson light. A ring of ash exploded outward from her feet. The creatures froze in place as if an invisible force commanded them. Then, to her horror, they slowly lowered themselves and bowed before her. Zuri felt her stomach tighten. Whatever power slept inside the crown, even monsters feared it. The creatures remained motionless until a strange whisper echoed across the dunes. The voice seemed to come from every direction at once. It spoke an ancient language Zuri had never learned, yet somehow she understood every word. The voice called her the last flame, and warned that the eternal mountain was awakening. Before she could ask questions, the creatures crumbled into piles of ash. In the center of the largest pile lay a golden key engraved with the same symbol found on the crown. Zuri picked it up carefully. The metal felt warm, as though someone had been holding it moments earlier. As night approached, a violent sandstorm swallowed the horizon. Zuri searched desperately for shelter and spotted towering ruins emerging from the dust. The structure resembled an ancient palace buried beneath centuries of sand. She entered through a shattered archway and immediately sensed she was not alone. Footsteps echoed somewhere in the darkness. Every room contained walls covered with murals showing a queen wearing the black crown. Some paintings depicted her as a protector. Others showed her standing over burning kingdoms. The conflicting images left Zuri confused. Was the Queen of Ashes a savior or a destroyer? Deep within the palace, Zuri discovered a sealed door made entirely of black stone. The golden key fit perfectly into the lock. As the door opened, cold air rushed from the chamber beyond. Inside stood hundreds of stone statues arranged in perfect rows. Every statue portrayed frightened people staring toward a single throne at the far end of the hall. Zuri approached cautiously. When she reached the throne, she noticed something horrifying. The statues were not sculptures. They were real people transformed into stone. Their expressions still carried terror frozen forever in time. On the throne rested a crystal sphere glowing with pale light. The moment Zuri touched it, another vision overwhelmed her. She saw a magnificent kingdom shining beneath golden skies. Thousands of people cheered as a young queen received a black crown. At first the queen ruled wisely and brought prosperity, but then shadows entered her heart. The crown began feeding on her fears, her anger, and her grief. Entire cities burned beneath her growing power. Zuri suddenly recognized the queen. It was her face again. The realization struck like lightning. Somehow she was connected to a ruler who had lived centuries before. The vision ended with a shocking image. The ancient queen was betrayed by her own council and sealed alive beneath the eternal mountain. Her final scream shattered the sky and turned half the kingdom into ash. As Zuri staggered away from the sphere, she noticed fresh footprints appearing across the dusty floor. They formed one step at a time as though an invisible person was walking nearby. The footprints led toward a hidden passage behind the throne. Fighting her fear, she followed them deeper underground. The tunnel opened into a vast underground city untouched by time. Crystal lanterns still glowed along empty streets. Fountains flowed with silver water despite having no visible source. Yet not a single living soul could be found. The silence felt unnatural. As Zuri wandered through the city, she discovered signs that its people had vanished suddenly. Meals remained untouched on tables. Doors stood open. Market stalls still displayed ancient goods. It looked as though thousands had simply disappeared in the middle of an ordinary day. Near the center of the city stood a towering library. Inside were countless books preserved by powerful magic. Zuri searched through them for answers. Most crumbled when touched, but one survived. The book spoke of a prophecy. It claimed the Queen of Ashes would return when darkness rose beneath the eternal mountain. It also revealed a terrifying truth. The Queen's soul had been divided into two halves. One half sought to protect the world. The other desired revenge against all who had betrayed her. Suddenly Zuri understood why she felt constantly torn between fear and power. As she finished reading, a loud crack echoed through the library. Shelves toppled. The ground trembled violently. From the shadows emerged towering figures made entirely of black ash. Unlike the creatures in the desert, these beings did not bow. Their eyes burned with hatred. They charged toward her without warning. Zuri ran through collapsing aisles as books exploded into clouds of dust around her. The crown began glowing brighter and brighter. She could feel a dangerous power building inside her, begging to be unleashed. Cornered against a wall, Zuri finally released the power surging through her body. A massive wave of crimson ash erupted from her hands and swept across the chamber. The monsters vanished instantly, but the blast did not stop there. It tore through the library and shattered ancient walls. As dust settled, a hidden chamber was revealed beneath the floor. At its center stood a giant black mirror. Slowly, another version of Zuri stepped out of the reflection. She wore the same face, the same crown, and the same eyes. But her smile carried pure evil. The dark half of the Queen of Ashes had awakened. The dark version of Zuri stepped fully out of the mirror and onto the stone floor. For a long moment neither woman spoke. They simply stared at one another across the ruined chamber. The stranger's eyes glowed like burning coals, while a trail of ash followed every step she took. Zuri felt as though she were staring into a future she desperately wanted to avoid. Then the dark woman smiled and revealed something impossible. She knew memories Zuri had never shared with anyone. She spoke about her childhood, her dreams, and even the burning crown that haunted her sleep. Fear gripped Zuri's heart. This was not an imitation. This was part of her. The dark twin slowly circled her like a predator studying its prey. She explained that centuries ago the original Queen of Ashes had divided her soul before being imprisoned beneath the eternal mountain. One half carried compassion, mercy, and hope. The other half carried rage, grief, and vengeance. The separation was meant to save the world from destruction. But now the barrier was weakening. The dark twin claimed that if they remained apart much longer, both halves would eventually perish. Yet there was something in her voice that felt dishonest. She spoke of unity, but her eyes revealed ambition. Zuri sensed she was hiding a far more dangerous plan. Without warning, the chamber shook violently. Cracks spread across the walls, as though the entire underground city were collapsing. The dark twin laughed and pointed toward the ceiling. Through the fractures, crimson light poured into the darkness. The eternal mountain had begun to awaken. Across the city, ancient bells started ringing by themselves. Their deep echoes rolled through tunnels and empty streets like a warning from another age. Zuri looked toward the distant glow and felt a strange pull deep within her soul. Something beneath the mountain was calling her. It had been waiting for centuries. The dark twin vanished into a storm of ash before Zuri could stop her. Determined not to lose track of her, Zuri rushed through the underground streets. The city seemed alive now. Doors slammed shut on their own. Shadows moved where no people existed. Strange whispers drifted through the air. As she crossed a deserted square, she noticed giant statues lining the road. Moments later, every statue turned its head toward her at once. The movement was slow and unnatural. Stone eyes followed her every step. Then all of them pointed toward a distant tunnel leading deeper beneath the earth. At the end of the tunnel, Zuri discovered a massive underground lake glowing with silver light. In the center stood a lonely island connected by a narrow stone bridge. Upon the island grew a single tree unlike anything she had ever seen. Its trunk was black as charcoal while its leaves shimmered like liquid gold. As she approached, the tree began shedding glowing leaves into the water. Each leaf transformed into a memory. Zuri watched scenes from centuries ago unfold across the lake's surface. She saw the original Queen of Ashes laughing with her people before tragedy changed everything. For the first time, the Queen seemed human rather than monstrous. The memories continued and revealed a shocking truth. The ancient Queen had not destroyed her kingdom willingly. A secret order of powerful rulers had betrayed her after becoming afraid of her growing influence. They poisoned her family, murdered her closest allies, and spread lies among her people. When the Queen discovered the truth, grief consumed her. The crown amplified her pain until it became a force capable of leveling entire cities. Watching the memories unfold, Zuri felt tears fill her eyes. The woman history called a monster had once been a victim. As the final memory faded, a voice emerged from the tree. Unlike the whispers Zuri had heard before, this voice felt ancient and wise. It warned her that the dark twin was heading toward the heart of the eternal mountain. If she reached it first, she could awaken the imprisoned power beneath the world. The consequences would be catastrophic. Entire nations would vanish beneath storms of living ash. Rivers would dry up. Forests would become deserts. The voice urged Zuri to reach the mountain before it was too late. Time was running out. The underground city suddenly began collapsing in earnest. Towers crumbled, bridges shattered, chunks of stone plunged into the glowing lake. Zuri sprinted toward the exit while debris rained around her. The sound of destruction echoed from every direction. Several times, she nearly fell into widening chasms. Yet through the chaos, she noticed something strange. The falling stones never struck her. Invisible forces seemed to guide her path. It was as if unseen guardians were protecting her journey. She remembered the ghostly children from beneath the baobab tree and wondered if they were still watching. After hours of climbing through ancient tunnels, Zuri finally emerged beneath the open sky. The sight before her stole her breath. The eternal mountain towered over the horizon like a sleeping giant. Crimson lightning crawled across its slopes. Rivers of glowing ash flowed down its sides. The clouds above rotated in a massive spiral visible for hundreds of miles. Even from a distance, she could feel immense power pulsing beneath the mountain. Villages scattered across the plains below were already abandoning their homes and fleeing. Whatever was happening, the entire world would soon feel its effects. As Zuri began her climb toward the mountain, she noticed hundreds of figures standing silently along the path. They wore ancient clothing from different eras of history. Some appeared to be warriors. Others looked like farmers, elders, and children. None of them spoke. They simply watched her pass. Then one by one, they placed a hand over their hearts and bowed. Zuri suddenly realized who they were. These were the spirits of those who had died during the fall of the ancient kingdom. They were not bowing to the crown. They were placing their hopes in her. For the first time since this journey began, the weight of her destiny truly settled upon her shoulders. And far above, near the summit of the mountain, she saw the dark twin waiting and smiling.